How's it going, folks? Recording another draft here. Doing another Best Ball Mania 3 here on GTO Best Ball channel. And unfortunately, we have pick number 10. So maybe looking to grab up Kelsey, Adams, Dalvin Cook. Those are kind of the guys down in that area that I am targeting at the moment. Doing a little nighttime recording here. Don't want to turn on the overhead light because it's quite blinding. So I will just be kind of dark, and we were in dark mode, as some people have requested. So I'm going to try to have the draft board up a bit more often, but I have a little trouble mapping out my picks sometimes when I have the draft board up. So I'm going to try to get a little bit better with that. Dalvin Cook is someone that I'm trying to get a little bit more exposure on, so might be looking to grab him at pick 10. I have very, very little Cook and Derrick Henry, so those are two players I'm actually trying to get a little bit of now. And especially since I have so much Diggs and Devontae Adams and Kelsey, but we'll go with the flow and see what we're in the mood for when it gets a little closer to our pick here. So, one thing of note is tomorrow, August 1st, is supposedly we're going to get some news on Deshaun Watson, according to sources. Sources within the Browns are being reported as saying they expect it to be between 4 and 8 games. So I wouldn't mind grabbing up another Deshaun Watson share tonight if I can, because if it's 4 games, he's going to fly off these boards. Kind of trying to judge what sort of room we're in here. We are on the clock. So I'm either going to take Henry or Cook. I think in half PPR. Guess we could take Adams or Kelsey as well. I think I'll just take Derrick Henry here. I'm kind of trying to avoid Derrick Henry on the full PPR sites, so it makes more sense for me to just get a little bit here on the old half PPR. And I'm fine with getting like Kelsey, Mike Evans, Debo, or Tyreek with my next pick. So I could start Henry and Dalvin Cook if that's. I had definitely never started any teams like that, so I was open to that if that's the way things fell. Ooh, Debo Samuel just got a massive contract extension, so he goes there. Just take Mike Evans. I'm fine with that. I had not heard the Debo news till I clicked and saw the blurb there. Fortunately, I have like quite a few teams with Henry and Mike Evans, so it would have been nice to get Debo there, but did not work out for us that way. As far as quarterbacks, I'm trying to get some more of Russ Wilson and Tom Brady. Like I mentioned, though, I also would like to get Watson, if possible, before the news breaks on him. Kamara's another guy where news could be breaking soon. And I wonder how much he would fall if the news is bad for Kamara. But like the range of outcomes, there's definitely a range of outcomes where he gets suspended. He goes to the 2A here, so that's somewhere we wouldn't even consider him, because that's about what I would pay for him if he was not suspended at all. I would still have him behind Barkley myself. So we want no part of him at the price you just want to. Like, I'll pay for him there if he's not suspended, but not right now. Really trying to hammer Kyle Pitts shares as well. Like, I almost can't get too much Kyle Pitts. Ronald Jones is a guy I have got to fade some Ronald Jones. I just have way too much, and it is looking quite bad for him. he's running with the twos. There's some reports he could get cut. He does have some guaranteed money, like 750K. So, I mean, sure, there's a chance the Chiefs could also trade him. So I'm pretty sure other teams would have some interest in Ronald Jones. So, all in all, that situation looks quite ugly. I have like 20% Ronald Jones, and I had like 25% John Mechie, so it was looking to be not good on the front of losing players early. But we'll keep drafting throughout August and hope that we can right the ship. You know, when you have a bunch of early drafts, it's going to happen to you. But those are two players I was like super exposed to, so pretty rough. I really liked Mechie. It's like the Amon-Ra St. Brown type looking guy for this year. Texans traded 3 draft picks to move up and take Mechie, so I was excited. So hoping one of DJ Moore or Pitts gets to us. Nice. Ooh, nice. I preferred Pitts, but I was definitely willing to take DJ Moore. We'll pretty much for sure be taking a wide receiver with our next pick. Doesn't sound like Deontay is getting any sort of extension anytime soon. It's pretty rough on Underdog how the ADPs of the wide receivers are just so much higher than they are on DraftKings. I'd be fine with like Sutton, Waddle, Hollywood, or Terry McLaurin. Hollywood is like flying down the board on DraftKings, but doesn't seem to be moving as much on Underdog. I think just because the sharper drafters on Underdog. I'm not as worried about the situation. It would have been nice to get DJ Moore, as a bring back for Mike Evans, but I really, really want Kyle Pitts share, so I'm not too sad about that. All right. So I'm either taking Sutton or Terry McLaurin. I have a ton of Hollywood, and I'm interested to see how I'm like buying the dip on DraftKings on Hollywood like crazy. So if he's not really moving on this site, then I guess I do have Kyle Pitts. Right. So maybe I will actually take Hollywood. Let's see. I would really like to get Sutton because I want to open myself for more Russ Wilson. I have a ton of Hollywood picks, so I'm going to take Sutton this time. I'm not sure that we will end up with Russ Wilson, but it's nice to have, these comebacks for sure for week 17. Something we're heavily targeting as far as like Pitts and Hollywood, but like I have so much of that game stack. I don't mind letting it go, especially because like now, Brady and Russ are both quarterbacks that I'm kind of looking to get more of. And now I have 2 options there. Although that probably will mean I'm less likely to get Watson in this draft. Though I don't mind taking Watson with Brady. But I probably wouldn't want to just take Watson and Russ. So they're both the same bye week. But we can always take a 0 for a week. Don't really like doing it at QB. So I guess if I'm deciding like straight between Brady and Russ, I might take Brady. Just to facilitate having a better match with Watson. Another quarterback I'm looking to smash in the late rounds is Tannehill, but a little less likely I'll take him on a Derrick Henry team. Just because if Derrick Henry's having one of his legendary games, then Tannehill's probably not doing a ton. But overall, Tannehill's efficiency has been better with Derrick Henry than without him. But there's, the legendary type game you're looking for Derrick Henry specifically in a playoff week for this format is probably going to be prohibitive to Tannehill scoring points. So had some discussions in the Spike Week chat about Tannehill, and I really think he's undervalued. Most of the people tend to disagree with me. He's down at quarterback 25. So, a lot of people are really scared off by the fact that they've lost AJ Brown, and that's, definitely a good reason to be scared off some, right? But when you think about it, Tannehill's finished QB7, QB12 the last 2 years, right? Last year, AJ Brown, as far as production goes, really didn't move the needle much. He had set 63 for 869 and 5, which is fine, but it's not like that's irreplaceable production. And when you look at how little Julio and Ferkster did, the combination of the three, AJ Brown, Julio, and Ferkster, only produced 270 half PPR points. Now, if you look at the mean projections for Treylon Burks plus Austin Hooper plus Robert Woods, you come up to 400 fantasy points, which is, a 40% increase. Keep in mind, Tannehill was able to be quarterback 12 with, the 270 last year. So I wouldn't say I would rank him as quarterback 12 or anything crazy like that, but I do think that he is severely undervalued. Like, Tannehill also has 7 rushing touchdowns back-to-back years, and I don't think it's super fluky. The reason why I say that is because they run a bootleg play with Tannehill that's nearly unstoppable with Derrick Henry, because the defense has to basically throw all of its assets at trying to stop Derrick Henry. And when they do that, they can't really account for Tannehill coming out the backside with a bootleg. Tannehill's a big athletic guy, so it's really hard for one corner to stop him. I was hoping for Godwin there, but not too sad to get Bateman. I'm not super interested in the QBs at the moment. Like I said, I'm really trying to get some Brady or Russ Wilson, so I would rather wait and see if I can get one of them in round 7. If I miss on both, I can always try to go some sort of 3 QB build with, which is especially strong, I think, with Watson. So if Amari Cooper's there with our next pick, that's what I'm going to take, because I would like to set up some sort of a Watson stack. As far as Cousins goes, I really don't like drafting Cousins when I don't have Justin Jefferson, because I feel like they're so tied. Same thing with Stafford and Cooper Kupp. So I'm going to end up under on Stafford and Cousins, but it doesn't really bother me. Not that I particularly dislike either one of their ranges of outcomes, just I really only like them with their alphas, because their alphas are just so incredible. If Cooper's gone here, don't really like Adam Thielen. Could go with David Montgomery and go with a dual RB build. Could get Dalton Schultz to be on the other side of that Derrick Henry game, but we have Kyle Pitts, so I'm not going to do that. Just going to take Cooper here. Cooper over Montgomery. It's nice to scoop the value on the falling Montgomery. I don't really ever take him. Yeah, let's try that. It's 11 picks past ADP. Let's try a dual RB build with David Montgomery. I literally don't draft him at all, so I would like to at least get a share or two when it's that kind of a discount. I also have tons of Watson with Cooper, so it's not like Watson's completely off the table if I don't take Cooper. I could, build some sort of Watson and Njoku Bell, or Watson Bell Deep Donovan Peoples-Jones, or Njoku Peoples-Jones. So there's still some options if I want to mix in Watson, but I'm going to really hope I get one of Brady or Russ with my next pick, and then, decide my QB situation from that point forward. Definitely don't have any teams with Derrick Henry and plus David Montgomery. These are 2 of the running backs I own the least of. Don't really hate David Montgomery or anything, but especially with his Week 17 game against the Lions, could be a pretty decent game. I just don't like the Bears offense very much. I was talking in the Spike Week chat about how I'm like kind of scared off of Justin Fields because week one the Bears play the 49ers. And that is just such a gross mismatch of D line versus O line. So Walk Angry at pick 11 here got the Adams Debo week 17 correlation. That was nice for him. Just kind of looking to see if there's anything weird going on in this draft. And Eckler Barkley starts kind of cool. Don't really like this Alvin Kamara pick. I guess since they got AJ Brown for the week 17 correlation, like I've been trying to do this, but I actually like do it the other way around, so it really doesn't matter which way you do it. Like I've been taking AJ Brown 7 in round 2 to try to get Kamara in round 3 to create this correlation. So this person just did the reverse and had it work out for them. Justin Jefferson, Javonte, Cooper Kupp, Tyreek. That's what guys I took my first 2 picks in my last draft. Don't like Keenan Allen this high. Keenan Allen's a pretty big fade for me. I've only taken him when I've taken an extreme Chargers Rams game stack for week 17. So I started a few drafts where I started with like Kupp and then Mike Williams and Keenan Allen, and then got Herbert on the way back. It's pretty much like the only times I've really taken Keenan Allen. I did it twice, managed to somehow get Herbert to fall both times I did it. And then obviously, because you really only have to get by the Eckler owner at that point, though people will just make it Herbert like all the time. It's getting easier to get quarterbacks again. People seem to be finally cooled off from the craziness of the super flex drafts where people were like hyper. So we will get one of Wilson or Brady. I guess that's a pretty easy choice. That must have been the Godwin guy who. Yeah, he has DJ Moore too, so he's got a nice little correlation there. So kind of paid off for us that I wound up taking Cortland Sutton, because if not, them getting sniped on Brady there would have been pretty brutal. But turned out to not really bother me very much. So with the news of looking pretty hideous for Ronald Jones, I think that it's correct to be kind of more in on Clyde Edwards-Helaire than I used to be. So I'm trying to actually get a few Clyde shares. Because if Rojo's like not on that team, that was the guy who was going to be kind of like in the way on the goal line. Like obviously in the way. There's other people who could be in the way still. McKinnon and Isaiah Pacheco. But I think if we were to go with Clyde, which we won't be doing because he went that big, I was going to say I think we could go hyper fragile if we took Clyde. I have interest in Ayuk. Gage, I'm not really taking here. I like MVS. I like Burks, but since I'm like not targeting, not really targeting Tannehill in this draft because I have Derrick Henry, so I'm drafting so much Burks that I need to kind of like find ways to kind of like weave past Burks when I can. So I think this is a good spot to weave past Burks for me. Just take Ayuk. So our team's looking pretty strong. We've got, strong at quarterback with Russ on top, strong at running back with Henry and Montgomery. Pretty good group of wide receivers. No one that's super, super duper love, but I mean, a bunch of good picks there. And Kyle Pitts as our beast tight end. So we could have, ended up with a team with Pitts, Hollywood, and Kyler. I'm pretty sure in this draft, but like I said before a few times, like I just have a million of that game stack. I have it on DraftKings, Underdog, I got it everywhere. So since we're targeting adding some extra Brady and Russ Wilson to our portfolio, pretty happy with the way this draft is turning out. Doubt Sky Moore is available when we pick, but I'd like to get him or Garrett Wilson. Sky Moore does correlate with our Denver guys. So seeing as I missed out on CEH when I was thinking about taking him, we might go for McKinnon or Isaiah Pacheco later on. Do not get Sky Moore. This is a bloodbath at wide receiver, but we're in like a pretty reasonable shape at wide receiver, so it's not too awful for us. As far as running backs on the board, I love Stevenson. Love Stevenson. Don't really want Melvin Gordon. He does catch passes, so there's some thought to that. Whereas Melvin Gordon could probably be a guy that could catch a pass from Russ Wilson in the fantasy playoffs. I think I'd rather just get like Tim Patrick, who probably will be, he's right in the same area as Garrett Wilson, so Garrett Wilson is my most owned wide receiver, so I might pass him here to get a Tim Patrick. Sure. I could send them to the turn, try to send Tim Patrick to the turn and get greedy. Do I want to get greedy? I haven't really taken KJ Hamler. Yeah, I'm going to get greedy. I think that this will result in us not getting Tim Patrick, but my last two Russ Wilson drafts, I've taken Tim Patrick and Cortland Sutton. Tim Patrick and Judy one, Tim Patrick and Cortland Sutton the other. So I want to go for maximum greed here. I think between the two, Patrick is more likely to come back than Garrett Wilson. So if not, we could like just try to grab like a Hamler later or a Kuabunum or Dulcich. Dulcich is like an interesting one because with Kyle Pitts, we're only going to want to draft two tight ends. So I really don't love Dulcich as one of only two tight ends. KJ Hamler's like super duper fallen, so if we do get sniped on Patrick here, we can. I think we'll maybe plan to try to get KJ Hamler in one of the last two rounds. Nice. Worked out for us. The greed has paid off. So really liking the start to this team. Dual RB, I tend to only draft 5 running backs, so we probably only need to get 3 more running backs. We're set up for just 2 quarterbacks and 2 tight ends as well. So we're going to end up being able to leave 9 wide receivers with a very strong wide receiver group and not really be, hurting at any other position to do so, which is nice. Thoughts on other quarterback? Nothing fantastic at the moment. We've got Zach Wilson set up with Garrett Wilson. I don't really have anything else set up, unfortunately. No real interest in Atlanta quarterbacks. Just no other stack pieces that really make any sense. So we could go for somebody that's a late stack type of guy, like a Mac Jones. Could just end up with Zach Wilson. We'll see how that goes. Kind of have my eye on the running back position at the moment. Gus Fields could be an option, but David Montgomery certainly will catch some passes. Darrell Henderson, Michael Carter are a couple guys that I have interest in. Spiller, Madison, Pierce. Pierce is like a guy I'm not that high on, but team seems to be talking him up at the moment. Probably not going to take Gallup. I don't think he's worth burning a fourth by week 9 guy on, just because I absolutely love George Pickens. So if I'm gonna kind of want to put it in my mind that I want George Pickens later, I'd rather not take another week 9 bye week guy right now. So I don't really want to end up with 5 of them. So I'll probably pass on Gallup, Tolbert, even though they do kind of correlate with our Derrick Henry. This could be a draft where we just don't plan to take Pickens as well. I know that's blasphemy. Every draft we plan to take Pickens. But I also don't really this is like a really good running back range for me, so I really like the available running backs. Hoping not too many go off before I pick. Particularly, I would love to get one of Madison or Henderson. Rojo goes, it's okay with me. Madison goes, so we're just going to take Henderson. Be pretty happy with that. Then I do like Michael Carter and Gainwell both quite a bit. Naheem Hines is also fine. For me, it's a tier break after Gainwell, so I do like Gainwell a little bit more than Naheem Hines. I like Josh Dotson quite a bit too. Don't really think there's any chance that Gainwell would make it back to us. Let's do that one. So we're down to one more running back. Took Gainwell pretty far above ADP, but doesn't really bother me too much. Not much going on at quarterback. Some chance we could take Trevor Lawrence and just go for some later guys that go with him. Kua Boonham should be on our radar as our second tight end because of his correlation with Russ. But we already do have 2 Denver guys, Sutton and Tim Patrick, and I don't really like Kua Boonham that much. He does have a good ceiling, though. That you really can't argue. I'm a little worried that they're just going to end up in a timeshare where Dulcich and Kua Boonham both just play a decent amount and both aren't that good. So I think I'd rather have a different tight end if I can, like Hunter Henry or Fant or Njoku. Derek Carr is now available 1,000 picks after ADP. Just no one is taking him. Kind of interesting. I wonder if this is a draft where you can super wait on QBs. Carr and Fields are just very far past ADP. Fields goes before Carr. Gotta be thrilled if you're able to create any sort of stack with these QBs that are falling this far. The Fields guy, unfortunately, cannot. At least Fields, is a running quarterback. Thank goodness that Kua Boonham goes ahead of us. So that's one thing we do not have to consider or worry about. Could consider going Trevor Lawrence with some sort of Evan Ingram and those dudes. Yeah, Trevor Lawrence goes. Not too much interesting on the board for me at the moment. I think I'll just take Naheem Hines and be done at running back. Got him 16 picks after ADP. It's fine with me. Watson has moved up some on Underdog. He's considerably lower on DraftKings. I think we should probably wait a pick to try to grab Zach Wilson. Things go haywire there. We'll have to find another option. KJ Osborne's looking pretty good to me. Fant, I like a lot. I like Tanya and Njoku Fant all good bit. Oh, would I rather have Njoku or Fant? I have a lot more Fant. I have no Washington players and I have a Jet, so I guess since Fant would correlate with Garrett Wilson and Zach Wilson if we're able to get Zach Wilson, that I would rather have Fant. So we're going to hope Zach Wilson makes it to us in our next pick. It's a reasonable chance that he's taken, and then we have to figure something else out at quarterback. Pretty sure we will not end up with George Pickens in this draft, which is fine. But I'm still trying to leave every draft with George Pickens, as I have been for the last 2 to 3 weeks. He's always on the list. So we got a good Russ stack going. Tight end looks fantastic. Running back looks really good too. We're just going to end up with a luxury pick in this draft which I think we'll just use on a 9th wide receiver. It's part of the reason why I've kind of when the last few decisions I've had to make, I've had, decent wide receiver options as picks that I've bypassed the wide receivers because it kind of feels like I'm going to pick 9, so I can attack more with quantity and less with quality. Oh, there goes Pickens. So, suppose we could take Matt Ryan if we wanted to. So we have Hines. Don't really love that. I think Naked Tannehill is a reasonable option as well. If we were to get sniped on Zach Wilson. There's also Naked, JMO. We could take Paris Campbell and see if Matt Ryan comes back. We have a few options. I'll just happily take my Zach Wilson share and get out of here. So we're all done now with everything that's not wide receiver. Duvernay is a guy I have not really taken. Loved Duvernay coming out of college. I've actually taken more Tylan Wallace in round 18 than I have Duvernay in any of these earlier rounds. Romeo Dubs interests me a good bit. Sammy Watkins does not interest me. Will Fuller kind of interests me. Well, I've taken like 0 Sammy Watkins. He's like at meh ADP value. Yeah, just gonna take Dubs. I just hate Sammy Watkins. I'd rather bet on Dubs. Let's go with the kid. So we're gonna draft a few more wide receivers. Let's queue up some dudes. This is definitely a team where we could take Odell. Generally, don't take him because I generally already have like somebody like Jameson Williams or Hopkins or Godwin or something. So I don't really want to like strain my team too much. But this team does not have any of those sort of players, so could definitely afford to kind of carry. Carry Odell, even if we only got him for like a month or whatever, or maybe just during the fantasy playoffs. This is a team that can maybe make the fantasy playoffs down, man. I'm a little less inclined to take Odell because I took Dubs, and Dubs has some chance of just being like an absolute zero himself. Seems like really good though. It could maybe withstand like 2 of those people, like 2 wide receivers that are not scoring. It's kind of funny because like we basically like took Gainwell where Hines is normally being taken and got Hines where Gainwell is normally been taken. So we kind of like didn't pay for like the price for Gainwell because we got Hines. So that was nice. The Dubs pick is admittedly like a little loose, I think, but I don't know. I'm buying into the training camp hype. So we got Duvernay, Zay Jones, David Bell, all players that I'm interested in with these last 2 picks. Odell, a little bit. Could take KJ Hamler. I don't mind taking like 3 guys that go with the quarterback. One is this cheap, but I don't know. I think I'll try to avoid that. I think Randall Cobb is like also like somewhat reasonable. I'll put this bum in the fucking queue. Now that he's like 100 picks past ADP. Kendrick Bourne's kind of interesting. Like, I sort of feel like he's going to be the backup to Devontae Parker. So, if something happens to Parker, I could see Bourne being very good. Scored a good amount of touchdowns last year. I think Duvernay here just because I haven't drafted him at all. I'm like, it's not that I particularly just like him or anything. I just haven't liked that you've been having to take him in earlier rounds in 17. So I don't mind taking him in 17. Do that. So kind of have my eye on Sammy Watkins or Zay Jones. God, I hate Sammy Watkins. Don't think I've drafted a single share of him, so maybe this will be the first Devin Duvernay and the first Sammy Watkins we get in this tournament. I'll probably just take, one of these wide receivers that are still in our queue. I like Zay Jones a lot more than I like Sammy Watkins. So gross. I think because we have dubs, it might kind of be right to bet against Sammy Watkins because they're probably competing for the same role. So it would essentially be sort of like a handcuff situation. So, yeah, I'm just going to take Zay Jones. All right, that'll do it for this squad. So let's take another look. I'm going to look at the board real quick. This guy got pretty good value on Mahomes. Did he get anyone to go with him? Just McCole. Feels pretty gross doing Derrick Henry again, but definitely have done enough Derrick Henry where now I can just back off and start taking Devontae Adams again instead of him. But I wanted to get a little bit of Derrick Henry in there because he does have that legendary running back upside. So let's take a look at this team. We got Russ Wilson, Zach Wilson. Doesn't overly inspire me, but it's pretty good. They both have fantastic playoff schedules. That's one thing. So Russ Wilson has all games that could be shootouts, and Zach Wilson has games against a bunch of bad teams. Although he might be part of a bad team, and the team could be bad because of him. At running side, this is pretty good for quarterback. Running back, love this group. Pretty strong. Dual RB up top. Wide receiver group, we've got Evans, Sutton, Bateman, Ayuk, Garrett Wilson, Tim Patrick, Douglas, Duvernay, Zay Jones. And tight end, I couldn't like a tight end group much more than Pitts and Noah Fant. So all in all, I think this team is very, very strong. Thank you for watching, and good luck in your drafts, folks.